I know that some of you will say that God gives us the freedom to choose. And you're right, the Bible does say that you have a choice, but you need to put it in context. The Bible was written after we had disobeyed God. It wasn't one of the original freedoms God gave us. His original intent was never for us to have a choice in the matter of whether or not we submit to His authority. That only came after we disobeyed, and it was offered only because it gives us a way to escape the death we surely deserve. Right now we are predestined to be saved based on the choice we make. But in time we are no longer allowed to choose. Only God's predestination for us to be saved will be in operation. Does God's sovereign will apply to those that don't believe in Him, or to those that disobey Him? I mean, if God's sovereign will is that none should perish, then why do some still perish? It could only be because of unbelief or disobedience. This in no way implies that God's will is subjected to our will. Rather, it is only sovereign with those who regard themselves as nothing and honor God as everything. If you don't acknowledge God is sovereign over you and praise Him and glorify Him for it, you will not know His will for your life, except maybe for His sovereign will and ability to send you to hell. If it's God's sovereign will that a certain individual be saved, does that person really have a choice in the matter? Jesus was the most predestined person to ever walk this planet, and everything He did was predetermined from the beginning. But could Jesus have rejected the sovereign will of God for His life? Or was it also predestined that He had no choice but to obey? I think He could have disobeyed if He wanted to, which means He would have never been predestined to be the Messiah in the first place, because God would have known and therefore wouldn't have used His sovereign will to choose Jesus. So God's sovereign will for your life is apparently linked to our faithfulness, with Jesus being the most faithful. And that is why He received the fullness of God's sovereign will for His life, which in turn brought God's sovereign will for our life, which is to give us salvation because of what Jesus did. Not only did Jesus accept God's sovereign will for His life, but He accomplished God's sovereign will for your life if you'll accept it. When I am surrounded by a great cloud of witnesses, which are those dressed in white, because they also believe they have come from heaven as sons of God like I have, then you also will come to see me for who I am, and crown me as your king. Through discipline I will cause the world to go into labor, so that it can produce God's children, children of righteousness and peace. Through discipline I will train you to take hold of the hem of my robe, so that you can leave this old world and go with me to New Jerusalem. Through discipline, I will empower you and give you the faith to do this. What kind of discipline? Making you choose between peace and war. You have kept the door closed on me so I can't appear, because you are so afraid of what others will say and do. Maybe instead you should be afraid of what God will do. Let me open another door for you. God said He wouldn't destroy Sodom and Gomorrah if Abraham could find 10 righteous men. He also said, when He determines to do good again to Jerusalem and Judah, he will cause 10 men from all languages and nations to take hold of the hem of Jesus' robe. Jesus, when he appeared to his 10 disciples after being raised from the dead, said, "Peace with you." And now I'm telling you that unless 10 people show up to help me during the hour of my greatest need, that there will not be peace, because I will utterly devastate this planet with war. If you keep hating what I'm doing, or you continue to be afraid to do what is right, you will regret ever rejecting me. By the way, when I say 10 people, I mean the entire organization of the church, since the number 10 in the Bible usually means an organization. So when the church comes to me as one, without doubting me, I will relent from what I have planned, which is to destroy you. But until you accept me and follow me as the returned Jesus Christ, think of me as your beast, because I'm about to devour you. You're making me into one by refusing me. Here I am, brought to you like a hurricane. I have purified myself of all that is impure, so all that remains is pure, a begotten child of God. I realize that Buddhism has monks and monasteries that are quite similar to those of the Catholic Church, but it doesn't mean they are teaching the same thing. All religions have priests, but they are still false. If they are following the wrong master, just because a religion follows a similar moral code, it doesn't make it any more right either. What makes a religion right is the core belief that God is Father and we are His children. If we can agree on that, then there wouldn't be a need for any other religious titles, because they would be meaningless, since we would all be essentially the same. Instead of looking at the similarities of each religion to justify the acceptance of each other, I want you to look at the differences so we can bridge the gap that separates us. I realize that most religions have redeeming qualities about them, because if they didn't, nobody would accept them. But if they have a fundamental flaw in their belief system, then it doesn't really matter how much of a high moral ground they try to follow, because they're still going to hell, even if they don't believe there is such a place. It is our duty to point out the error of their ways. If you truly believe that Jesus Christ is the only way and no one comes to the Father except through Him, then you need to get the others to believe that also. So we can all be from the same religion and have complete unity in one belief system, the belief that God is our Father. Should you fear God? Jesus' exact words were, "But I will show you whom you should fear. Fear Him who, after killing of the body, has the power to throw you into hell. Yes, I tell you, fear Him." You can't get any clearer than that.